Okay. Hey there, DIY coders. Welcome back to another HTML Quickie. The best place for a quick reference for all your HTML needs. So let me give you what you came here for. Make sure you have your text editor ready and your HTML file ready, your browser, and all that jazz. And let's get started. So, this topic, as you might have noticed on the video title, it's about form tags. What they essentially are is, it's a, let's call it a thing. And this thing, we input our information, sort of like what you see on this corner of the video here. So just follow my mouse here. So for this example, we have a form that asks for first name. So I'll put my first name and put my last name. And what it does is that once we have inputted our required information, we can have this information submitted, and it will go to this, in our case, it'll go to this fictitious server, or at least to how you understand it. Technically, it's still a server, but it'll go to this fictitious server. Once we hit submit, we'll have it just showing back to us that confirms to us the information we have inputted. So let's go back. So, all right, now let me show you everything we'll be learning here. There are two values, one being the post and the other get. Now, usually you would prefer post over get, as when we submit the data through the get method, our information, if you'll look towards this direction, towards the browser, our information is put into this address bar here, and so that poses security risks. But in this example, we will be using the get method, so you have a more visual understanding of what's happening. And now moving on to the action attribute. The value put into the action attribute is an address that would lead to a particular server, and that server will process the data that you have sent. Now for autocomplete, what autocomplete does is that for all the input fields, if you input any information and you happen to, say, accidentally refresh the page, it will save the data for all the inputs and have it automatically filled in the inputs. Now the target attribute, this one's a tough one to explain. It is a attribute that sets the method for how to go about redirecting the user to the next web address. So there are two methods. Either we redirect the user to the next page through the current tab or window, or through another tab or window. And now for the input tag, I won't go too much in depth to it. I'll just talk about the ones we need for this video. So input tag, it's a self-closing tag, just like so. And we'll be using two types of input, which is text and submit. Essentially with text, we can input our information. Submit is just the button to submit the form. And the name attribute, this is to label the data we input into the input fields. And it's not something you will visually see on the web browser. It's to help the server identify the information. All right, so let's see how this is applied in HTML code now. So this is how it looked earlier. Now there are a few things missing. So if we were to input our information now, and we submitted the data, it would really do nothing, which is sort of expected. For a very basic form, it wouldn't really do anything. But for a form that is connected to a server, it would do something else if we submitted the data. So if we go back to our text editor, we will start learning the form attributes. So let's learn the first two together. So we have the method attribute, right? And remember, again, use the post method for non-private use. If you're ever using a form for public use, never use the get method. Most usually you will use post because you'll definitely have a public application for the form that you will make. In this case, we'll use the get method. So we'll put the get method, and we'll also be using the action attribute. Now, we're going to use this fictitious server that we have set up. So you'll notice if you look at my over to the left here, you'll notice that I have two files. One, which is the index.html, which is this one here. We'll also have another one, which is output.html, which is this code here. Now, if you're a beginner, try not to understand what's going on here, as this would be beyond your understanding. Just know this represents our server, and it will process our data. So if you want to have a copy of this, you can go to my GitHub, which I'll link down to in the description. You can download the file, you can copy the code off that file. Just make sure the file is in the same folder as the index.html file. All right, so in the action attribute, again, we would enter the address of the server we want to send it to. So in this case, it is output.html. All our basic needs for this form should be set up. So let's go ahead. We'll refresh this page and we'll input our information here. All right, and we'll submit the data. So I'll click here, and you'll notice with the data sent to the server, it had confirmed with us the information we had sent. So our first name, or my first name, is Terrence, last name is Van, and that's what we have sent to the server. Now this is just an example of how form works. By no means that it works the same with every other form. In fact, this wouldn't be how it works, as it wouldn't confirm that your information has been sent in this manner. It would just have a message saying your message has been sent. What you see here is actually not preferable to see, as this is also a security risk. But again, this is just to show you how the form tag works. All right, so there are a couple of, you could say, extra features that I want to show you. So if we go back, these two features are target attribute as well as the autocomplete. There's only two values that you should be concerned about with target, which is self as well as blank. And perhaps it's even to say you only need to concern yourself with blank. I'll explain in a little bit. So with self, this is the default value. So since this is a default value, you most usually don't need to have this attribute altogether. And what that does is that it would redirect the user as soon as the user submits his data. He will be redirected with the two methods. Either he or she will be redirected in the same window or tab, or with the target attribute with the value of blank, the user will be redirected to the new page either through the new window or tab. So that's the target attribute. And autocomplete is usually has the on value by default. And so let's say we have, if you'll take a look over in this direction over at the browser. So we already have the input field filled up. And let's say we accidentally refresh the page. Now normally, if autocomplete was off, you wouldn't see that information still there. So let me show you how, let me confirm that for you by turning it off, and we'll refresh, and now it's gone. So there is reasons to have it turned off and turned on. One is for convenience, the other is for security reasons. So now let me show you that everything works. So I'll input my information. There we go. Submit query, and there we go. Everything's working properly. All right. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you want to learn more about input tags, I'll definitely link the videos down in the description. I may have not made it by the time you have watched this video. So stay tuned, please subscribe. And if you found this video informal, please give me a like. And if this video was not quite right, give me a thumbs down, let me know. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.